Relationship skills, a few of the basics. Hey guys, in this video I want to talk about a few things you should avoid if you want a relationship. The basic question you need to be asking yourself, which is, what do I bring to the table? And 6 specific things you can do to increase the odds that you can develop a relationship with a woman, or with anyone for that matter. First things first, all men need to have good boundaries, a solid moral code that you're not willing to violate, even when it comes to relationships, okay? Maybe especially when it comes to relationships, because that's the situation that are so charged that it's very easy for us to lose good sense when we get into them. And so it's really important to remember that solid boundary setting, solid values, solid self-respect are a solid basis for relationships with others, okay? Now, if you happen to be a Christian, then for all relationships, Christ comes first. And we remember the first great commandment is to love God, the second great commandment is to love our neighbor, and Christ needs to be the cornerstone of everything that you do and the foundation on which you build, okay? But as I say, even if you're not a Christian, solid boundaries, solid moral code, and solid self-respect are going to be the things that you need to have in place really well. So give some thought to that if you've not, so that you don't end up compromising your own integrity when you're out looking for a relationship with someone else. Okay? Caveat. This ain't dating advice, all right? I haven't dated in 40 years, and even I can tell that a lot has changed in that time. So for that reason, I'm only going to try to give very general advice about relationships here. But I've dealt with a lot of young men who present many of the same basic issues that keep getting in the way of them building solid relationships. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. Now, I know some of you engineering types and you guys who are just a little bit spurgy are going to get frustrated and are just going to want to scream, just tell me what to do so I can get a girl. It doesn't work like that, bro. Okay? We're talking about relationships. We're talking about relationships between two persons who have free will. She gets an equal say in how a relationship develops, or if that relationship develops at all. All right? And there are no guarantees, regardless of what you do. And just know up front, and I'll throw this in for you for free, okay? You cannot force another person to like you. That just doesn't work, all right? And you might have to change a lot of things about yourself to make yourself attractive enough to get somebody else's attention, all right? And you might find that hard to do, but be at peace. I have some practical suggestions on how you can start, and we'll get to them directly. First off, a few things you need to avoid, okay? First thing up, try to avoid having impossibly high standards for a relationship. For sure, aim for the stars, but you might only hit the moon, and you might need to be okay with that, all right? You might need to lower your standards a little bit or find ways of broadening out your search if you're serious about finding a partner, okay? I remember a story, there was an online forum. I read this, I think about last year. There was a young man. He was an Orthodox Christian guy. You know, he's very conservative, so he was talking about what he wanted in a woman. Well, she's got to be Orthodox, and she has to want to be a traditional wife, you know, so she's got to want to be a stay-at-home mom and have a bunch of kids, you know, and, you know, she has to be devout, you know, and he went on and on about this. And so there was some dialogue back and forth about where do you find such women and whatnot. And then he came back to an, oh yeah, she has to be unvaxxed as well. And I thought to myself, you know, okay, yeah, she probably exists somewhere in rural Saskatchewan, and good luck finding her, because maybe there's only one of her. Yeah, I don't know. But the situation is we get these, you know, these really, really constricting, you know, parameters within which we're willing to look for a relationship, and the more restricted it is, the more difficult it is to find somebody. So be sure that, yeah, I'm not saying don't have your standards, but look and seeing if you're choking off a lot of the possibilities that are available to you there. Just keep that in mind. You know, I know, and it's not just guys. You know, there's sort of this meme going around on the internet nowadays that women are looking for a 666 man. You know, that he's got to be 6 foot tall and make six-figure income and have six-pack abs or 6 inches of, well, you know. And then they're frustrated because they can't find one. You know, because, I mean, the number of men who fit those parameters is a very small percentage of all the men that are out there. So just be careful, you know, with your standards and see what you're doing. Have them, absolutely. But just make sure they're not impossibly high, that they're reasonable, okay? On the other hand, there can be serious problems with being unequally yoked, as St. Paul says. That is, getting into a relationship with someone who doesn't share your core values. Okay, that can also be an issue. So that's why I say we need to know what we believe, what we stand for, what we're willing to tolerate, what's completely outside the bounds if we want to be serious and have a relationship. And I get it, it's a problem. So you're just going to have to find a balance here, you know, to see who comes your way or whom you can find, and how far each of you are willing to bend and accommodate the other one for the sake of the relationship. And again, we're talking about two free people, so there is no formula for that. It's not a function. You have to work it out with the other person. Okay? Something else to avoid, guys. Beware of pedestalizing women, of putting women up on a pedestal. You know, for those of us who are Christian, there is an older and sturdier word. It's called idolatry. And you don't want to make idols out of women. Why do guys do it in the first place? Because too often we're needy, we're desperate, we're looking for a relationship because we think that having a woman is going to fix all of our problems. All right? Let me tell you flatly, needy and desperate do not look good on a man. So if that's you, you need to fix that. Okay? You need to get over it. You need to develop some self-esteem. We'll talk about some ways to do that a little later on. Okay. And again, if you're a Christian, the biblical order is that a woman's desire is for her man. So when you put a woman up on a pedestal, you invert that order. And that's not going to work out for you Christian guys. All right? And also, if you put a woman up on a pedestal, then chances are you're going to be down at the bottom of the pedestal. Okay? And so you're there looking up at her, and she's up there looking down at you. And most women don't respect a man that they look down to, all right? So you need to become a man that a woman will desire and respect. The kind of man that other men respect. Ultimately, dude, you need to become the kind of man that you would respect. You want to be the prize. And if you're going to be the prize, then you better look like the prize, you better think like the prize, and you better act like the prize, okay? Another thing to avoid. Don't complain about women all the time. In fact, don't complain about women at all. Don't talk about and go on with your buds about how unavailable they are, or the games that they play, or their impossible standards, or their hypergamous nature. None of it. Don't even go there. All right? Whether it's true or not, you can't control it. So there's no use whining about it. And I can guarantee you this. If your fundamental attitude is negative and cynical about women, it will poison first your attitudes and then your interactions with women, okay? You will not be able to hide it. It will eventually come through, and it's going to crash your chances of developing a decent relationship with somebody, okay? So cut all of that stuff out. So what I'd like to suggest, though, is that the $10 question you ought to be asking yourself is, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? You want a relationship? Fantastic. What have you got to offer? All right? This is why I help men optimize their lives. This is why I help men to get their balls back, their hearts back, and their minds back, so that they can have the life and the relationships that they want. Okay? And it's at this point that I insert a shameless promotional plug and encourage you to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, and to drop your email address on my website. Okay? But enough of that. Back to the regularly scheduled program. Okay? You want to be the best man that you can be. You want to improve yourself in every possible way. It's really very hypocritical for you to have very high standards for the kind of woman you want if you don't have high standards for yourself in the first place. All right? So you need to be a prize. You need to be the kind of man that other men respect and that women want to be around. You want to be the kind of man that you would respect and that you would want to be around, okay? If you're not, you got work to do. And that's what this video and all the rest of my work is about. All right? So you might ask the question and say, what? Are you asking me to sell myself out, to quit being my authentic self for some woman's approval? And I would answer, maybe. How's it working out for you? I hope you're doing really great with your relationships. I really do. But if you're not doing okay, then maybe being your authentic self isn't really in your best interest. That's especially the case if your authentic self is unsocial, unlovable, unskilled, boring, mediocre, or if you spend all of your time in your parents' basement covered in Cheetos dust and crusty tissues. Okay? That's who you really are. You need to work on yourself. Okay? And if you're in your late 20s or your early 30s and you're looking to level up your life, to get a better job, maybe to settle down and to get married, then you've probably come to realize that 15 years of smoking weed and playing video games and jerking off to porn have not been the best preparation for life, right? So you've got work to do, and I'm here to help. Okay? After putting Christ as the cornerstone, there are some additional foundation stones on which you can build a good life that will maximize your chances for a good relationship with women and even with other men, in fact, with everybody. And I think that's ultimately the best thing that we can do, is to just become the best that we can be so that we can have good relationships with everybody. All right? So, to put it very briefly, do you want to know the answer to 98% of your relationship problems? Bro, you are. You are. Fix your life first, and most of your relationship problems will take care of themselves. What do I mean? Okay? Exercise daily. Eat good food. Read good books. Spend time around high achievers. Engage in some wholesome hobbies. Get enough sleep. Manage your finances well. Build a band of brothers. Learn a valuable skill. Make a plan for your life and work at it. Okay? If you don't believe me, try it. Do every one of those things for a month and tell me if you don't begin to see some improvements in your relationships. Okay? And if you catch yourself saying something along the lines of, but the problem's not me, it's her, do these things for 30 days anyway, and you'll start to influence her positively. Men lead, women are attracted to leadership, so lead and start with yourself, and then see if she follows. All right? And don't make excuses saying, I don't know how to spend time around high achievers, or what are wholesome hobbies, okay? As my wife is fond of saying, if there were only a way you could find out. Well, there's plenty of information out there, friends, to help you get started on every one of the points I just listed. If you're really interested in it, show some initiative and go look it up for yourself, okay? That's putting it very briefly. Now, let's drill down a bit and talk about some of the specifics in detail. Number one, optimize your appearance. First up, let's deal with your physique. You need to pump iron. You need to work out. You need to get really big and strong, regardless of your age. But I hope you start when you're young, because you'll amaze yourself at just how strong you'll be. You know, when you're 19 or 20 years old and you're pumping iron, you'll look back when you're 30 or 40 and be amazed at what you were able to do when you were young. Don't be like me and wait until you were 53 years old before you get serious about your body, about your physique, and really taking care of yourself and trying to get strong, all right? Big and strong look really good on a man. They really do. Being fit demonstrates to women, to everybody, your ability to handle your shit. It demonstrates you have discipline, and more importantly, that you are committed to something, okay? Discipline and commitment are masculine traits 100%. And the idea of strong male commitment is very attractive to women as well. So that's something you can easily do, you know, if you're at the gym regularly and working hard. Take care for the rest of your appearance, your clothes. You know, there are books, websites, all kinds of things out there about how to dress well. You know, maybe the easiest thing to do is ask a female friend of yours for some help and advice. Women tend to have a better eye for that sort of thing than men do, and she will help you find clothes that other women will find attractive as well. Personal hygiene. Shouldn't have to be mentioned, but I'm going to mention it here nevertheless. Bathe daily, keep your hair and your beard under control. Don't forget about your breath. A lot of guys do that, Don't forget about your breath. And make sure that the rest of your environment is clean and well maintained. Make sure that your car is clean and well maintained. Oil change, tire pressure there, all of that. And that your car isn't trashed. In a word, take care of everything that you own. And take care of the little things, because if you take care of the little things, it makes it a whole lot easier to take care of the big things as well. And if what I've said so far seems overwhelming, then just do what Uncle Jordan tells you to do and start by making your bed. All right? But start somewhere, one little thing, and begin to improve on that. And you're already on your way. Okay? Number 2, be interesting and not boring. You want to be someone that other people like to be around because you bring something of value to the table. Good conversation is excellent. A sense of humor is a big plus too. People want to have some positive emotional experience when you're around. They want to have fun. They want to be relaxed. They don't want to be uptight and tense or self-conscious just because you're in the room. So learn to talk easily with people, and you do that by practicing it. I know it may be rough up front, but you get better at it when you do it. Also consider having a decent hobby or two. For example, learn to play several different card games. Write poetry, travel, learn about local craft beers or wines. Be able to cook a decent meal. Learn how to mix drinks. Play an instrument. Know something about film noir. It doesn't really matter. Just find something that interests you that you can talk about and share with a broad group of other people. That makes you interesting, okay? There are some things that are not decent hobbies. I'm going to offend a lot of you here and say playing video games probably doesn't count there. Drawing anime girls is not a decent hobby. If you do that, just quit it. And if you do it, don't talk about that, all right? Be sure you read, though. I suggest reading a lot to broaden your mind. And not just self-help books, okay? History, biography, good literature. And by good literature, I don't mean the 100 greatest books of all time. I mean the 1,000 good books. If you would recognize the name of the author, if it were mentioned to you, it's probably a fairly good book to read. That can help make you interesting as well. Take a mild interest in current events, just so you kind of know what's going on in the world, but don't talk policies. And guys, don't talk conspiracy theories. I know you're inclined to do that. Don't go there. And when I'm talking about hobbies, I'm going to exclude your workouts. Your workouts are not a hobby. They're a given. So you don't talk about your workouts except to another gym bro. But you can have a hobby if you have a sport or physical exercise if it involves other people, like playing tennis or bowling on a league or being in a cycling club, or playing golf with your buddies, something like that. That's fine, because again, it's a shared interest, and that makes it interesting to other people. So look into some some hobbies that are along those lines. Number 3, be interested in other people. Basically, learn to shut up, to ask questions, and to listen. All right? There is no compliment more valuable or subtle than giving someone your full attention, right? And if you don't give them your full attention, people notice that. And it's a major turnoff too, all right? And people like talking about themselves anyway, so let them. You don't have to be the guy who talks about yourself all the time. Let other people talk about themselves. Because talking too much, and especially talking too fast, often comes across as being nervous or needy, and that you're looking for approval or validation or attention. And again, that's not real attractive on a man. So if you're going to talk, slow down your speech a little bit, give more time for other people to talk. You'll learn a lot about people, which can come in really handy sometimes if you let other people talk, all right? And also, keep your phone in your pocket when you're with other people, not in your hand, not on the table within easy reach of you. Don't be checking it all the time when you're in a conversation with other people. That's just rude, okay? Don't go there. Number 4, have a vision for your life, a real sense of mission, okay? And pursue it with everything that you've got. Build a life that you genuinely enjoy living. And believe me, it's okay if you're a work in process. If you're still in school, if you've only got an entry-level job, that's fine. So long as you're working to get ahead and to make something of yourself, it's all good. Okay? The idea is that you know where you're going, you're building a great life, and you're willing to invite a woman along for the ride. Okay? A woman doesn't want to be your vision or your mission, but she dearly would love to be part of a great mission or a vision that you're pursuing in your life. Okay? So that's what you want to do. I know it's hard for younger men to get a real sense of vision for their lives. Too busy younger men are still running away from their pain to think clearly about the future. And the best advice that I can give you on this one is to figure out as best you can where you want to go, what you want your life to be, and then set out on it and then course correct along the way. All right? The most important thing is to start. You've got to start. Take the first steps in finding out and following a vision for your future, because until you start, you don't have any more data or information to make a course correction. Okay? So start your best idea out there, gather information along the way, and you'll sharpen your focus and you'll correct your course, and you'll get clearer as to what it is you really want to do in your life. But you won't gather anything if you don't start. So guys, give it your best shot and go after it. Okay? Ideally, the life you're building is going to make you some money. If you're a younger man and you haven't had a job yet, get one. Now, I don't care what it is. I mean, drive for Uber Eats for all I care. But the idea is go out and learn what it means to serve other people and to make some money. And once you realize what it's like to have a little bit of money, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but it makes misery a lot more endurable. And there's a certain freedom that comes from financial independence. When you have a little money, you can decide to do what you want with your time. And that's a really, really a sweet thing to experience if you've never experienced it before. So you'll get a taste for what having money can do for you, then you'll always be willing to work for it. That's good for you. All right? Number 5, don't do weak stuff. What do I mean by weak stuff? Procrastinating, avoiding the tasks that you know you need to do, having a messy desk or a room or a house or a car, ignoring personal hygiene, general irresponsibility and laziness, wasting time, avoiding work, especially your self-improvement work, being alone all the time so you never learn social skills and you stay socially awkward, stuff like that. I've already talked about being physically strong. Now I'm talking about being mentally and emotionally strong too. So don't do weak stuff, ever. You can't fake it. And a lot of guys think that they can be one kind of person at home and then they're going to go out and engage with other people and be somebody else. It does not work. It doesn't work. How you do anything is how you do everything, okay? You can't fake it. You're not going to fool anyone, certainly nobody of any quality, and not for very long. Whoever you are behind closed doors when you're by yourself will come out when you're with other people sooner or later, one way or the other. Are you okay with that? Are you a good man when you're by yourself? It used to be said character is who you are when you're alone. Now very often character is who you are when you're on social media and being anonymous. Some people are total jerks. But who you are when you're alone and by yourself, who you're going to come across as when you're with other people. So don't do weak stuff any of the time, okay? The idea, again, is based on the concept that how you do anything is how you do everything. It's a good adage, and by and large it's true. So, for example, if I were to go and look in your car, what would I see? Is your car trashed? If your car is trashed, there's a very good chance that your house is trashed, your desk is trashed, your closets are trashed too, okay? How you do anything is how you do everything. So you do need to sweat the small stuff at least a little bit and make sure that you're living a respectable life, okay? And if you want a good relationship with a woman, if you want to flourish in life, then you have to sacrifice all of the weak stuff that you do when it's just you by yourself, all right? Because someone ultimately is always watching, and that someone is you. So don't undermine yourself by doing stuff that you know is weak and unproductive and unhelpful just because you're by yourself. Okay? Okay, I think I beat that one enough. Number 6, go out and talk to people. Being online in social media or playing video games is not the same as being with people in the real world. Okay? And if most of your social action has been virtual, then it's very likely you're going to miss a lot of nonverbal cues when you're talking to people in real life. You're going to miss a lot of body language, facial expressions, vocal tone and inflection, cues that are really important in communicating with or understanding others and getting your own point across as well. All right? The COVID lockdown wrecked or eroded a lot of people's social skills. So a lot of you are going to have to work either to learn those skills in the first place or to regain them if the lockdown caused them to atrophy. Okay, but get out and be around other people. And the only way that's going to happen is if you actually get out there and do it. Okay, and don't just go out and hang out with people who are like yourself. Go hang out, be around all different kinds of people. People who don't look like you, who don't dress like you, who don't share your interests, who don't share your point of view. Become the guy who can talk to anybody and you're comfortable around everybody, okay? And you build some confidence by actually engaging with other people, okay? And I really suggest this all the time. You know, talk to the guy in the checkout line behind you at the supermarket. You know, say hello to some little old lady while you hold the door open for her, okay? You know, compliment a gym bro when he finishes a really hard set. I mean, it doesn't take much, and we make small talk like this, and we get comfortable talking to all different kinds of people. It's really a beautiful thing, and if you talk to everybody, you will learn how to be relaxed in any given social situation, and that's an immensely important skill, and that really looks good on a man. Okay, and it also means that you'll be a whole lot more confident when you get ready to talk to that cute girl as well, because you're comfortable talking to anybody, all right? So you want to keep that in mind as well. By the way, there are things you should not talk about in polite company: sex, religion, and politics. Don't talk about the culture wars, and don't complain or whine about anything, all right? Whining was the mode of discourse back in the 90s. All right, it is not a good mode of discourse today. And as I said before, don't talk about your workouts or your self-improvement journey. No, you want to conceal your hard work. You want to shut up about it, and you want to act like you were just born awesome, okay? You want for success to look like it's effortless to you and that it's natural. And if you can pull that one off, you're going to do really well. The only people with whom you talk about your workouts or your self-improvement work is another man who is on the same journey. Then you can compare notes and be encouraging. But don't go out in general to a party or to a group of friends and talk about, you know, the swell set you did at the gym today. Just don't go there, okay? At this point, a couple of caveats. All right, first one, doing all of these things well and then expecting that a woman will like you or fall in love with you, or expecting your wife to love you more or give you more sex, is a huge mistake. This is called a covert contract, okay? What's a covert contract? If you don't know it already, I strongly recommend Dr. Robert Glauber's book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's one of the foundational texts for men's work, and I recommend it to every man because I think every man can benefit from it. But in there, he describes covert contracts as agreements that you make up in your own mind that involve other people, but that you never actually tell the other person about. So, for example, I've known some guys, you know, some married men who will say, oh, they say this as, oh, well, I carried out the trash and I cleaned up the kitchen and I put away the dishes and I carried the laundry up to the room, you know, and then later that night my wife still didn't want to have sex with me. What did I do wrong? I'm so ticked off at her. Well, you may have made the decision or the agreement in your own mind. Did you actually talk to your wife about that? No? If you don't involve the other person, you don't tell them, then the contract isn't real. And you really don't have any basis for getting upset when the other person doesn't fulfill his or her expectations if you never communicated that to him or her. All right? So, you know, just because you say, oh, well, you know, I worked out and I cleaned up my wardrobe and my car is clean and I learned to talk, you know, and I know all about film noir and like, No woman wants to talk with me. You know, I did all of the right things. I pushed all the right buttons and a woman didn't come out of the machine. Relationship didn't just pop up. No, again, we're dealing with real people here, okay? We're talking with people with free will, and you can't negotiate attraction. You can't make someone else like you, okay? And there's no formula for relationships, okay? There are no guarantees. But the best thing we can do for any kind of relationship is that we can optimize ourselves so that we bring our very best to any kind of encounter we have, to any relationship that we have. It's we ourselves are the only variable that we have any control over. So you want to maximize yourself in every way that you can so that you're in the best position to establish or form a good relationship with other people. All right? That's, I suppose, the bottom line. So to summarize what we've talked about, watch out for having impossibly high standards, for pedestalizing women, or getting bitter and complaining about them. Seriously ask yourself the question, what do you bring to the table in a relationship? Optimize your appearance. Be interesting and not boring. Be interested in other people. Learn to shut up, to ask questions, and to listen. Have a vision for your life, a sense of mission. Don't do weak stuff. Go out and talk to people. Go talk to everybody. Hold your expectations very lightly. And if you do those things, it really ought to go better for you. And I hope it does. If it all seems overwhelming, be at peace. Just pick one thing that you can do and start with that. But start. Start. Keep at it, and you'll start to stack up small wins. And as you stack them up, you'll grow in confidence, and you'll want to take on bigger challenges, and you can improve yourself every day. Look, this is a lifelong undertaking. Start today, start small, and build on whatever it is that you've got going for you today. All right? It will take a while. Absolutely. It will take a while, but you can do it. You can optimize your life, and if you do, you'll really increase the odds that a woman will find you attractive, that other men will respect you, and maybe most of all, you'll become the kind of man that you respect yourself. And when you can respect yourself, there's hardly any other feeling in the world that's as good. All right? Believe me, you really want to get to that point. Okay? So, thanks for watching. As always, please like the video if you would. Leave a comment. I love to hear from you. I love the interaction that way. If you found the video useful, hey, send it on to another guy who might gain some benefit from it. All right? And if you would, drop your email on my website so that I can update you on all the good stuff, the content, and the programs that I'll be introducing in the coming weeks and months. I do want to help you get your balls back, your mind back, and your heart back, so you can have the life and the relationships that you want. If that resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and keep in touch so that I can continue to provide you with valuable content that helps you become the best man you can be. All right, thanks again. I appreciate you guys. I'm out.